words of a civilian named Aaron, who bade goodbye to his family as he left to serve in the army for World War II. Now, Aaron is a veteran, not of one war, not of two, but of three major wars, namely the Russian-Japanese War, World War I, and World War II. He was awarded several times for his meritorious service in all of these three wars, but especially in World War II, which I want to focus on today. His story is based on the book called A Russian Jew in the Philippines, written by U.S. Commodore Ramon Alcaraz. So Aaron was born in Russia on February 23, 1887, to a Jewish couple. He was the second of 7 brothers. At the early age of 17, the Russian army recruited all young men, and this was including Aaron, to fight in the Russian-Japanese War. And he loved this life of service. He was so dedicated to this life of service that only 3 years later, he decided to migrate to the U.S. and again enlisted in the U.S. Army. And there, at the outbreak of World War I, he was sent to France, where he saw action in a place called the Argonne Forest. And there he tirelessly served in the front lines of the battlefield. And within 1 year of serving after World War I, he got promoted from not being only a private. He rose up the ranks to a lieutenant and then master engineer of the U.S. Army, which was a great status in the Army during those years. And because of this status, this is what brought him to the Philippines, where he later on was made to construct several military facilities for future military use. This included the Ipo Dam, the Angat Dam, and the Malinta Tunnel. All of these constructions were used by the military. These were irrigation facilities that still supply water to the Filipinos up to this day. So years went by and he was constructing all of these facilities, and later on, as he finished these, he decided to retire. He got married to a Filipina named Victorina Cervantes, and together they had 10 children. And he raised this huge family. He bought 126 acres of land, which he planted rice on. He became a gentleman farmer, and he just enjoyed his life. I believe 20 or 30 years of his life, just raising his family, making money for himself, enjoying his life. But then the year 1942 struck, and that was the year that World War II broke out in the Philippines. And being a veteran of 2 major wars before, he felt the deep need, the deep urge to fight for the country, defend the country that he grew to love. And so he gathered his family around him, and he said those words: "I may not survive in the war, but I am certain all of you will survive." And that was a prophecy that did come true. His 2 children are still alive today. So at that, he left for battle in a place called Bataan in the Philippines. And after days of battle, he unfortunately was captured by the enemy, the Japanese, along with 75,000 other prisoners of war. And he and the others were brought to a concentration camp. And there you can just imagine the hellish situations that they had to undergo. If you know the torture of the Japanese, they would rip the nails off of prisoners or torture them in ways that were just so inconceivable, so brutal. But Aaron boosted their morale because as a Jew, and being the eldest, he entered the army at 55 years old,
Wow.
which was ancient compared to...
Amen, Sophia, it is ancient.
So yeah, he served as a rabbi for his fellow Jewish Polish prisoners. But besides that, the Japanese put him in charge of what was called a supply train. And these supply trains would go outside to the outside market and buy supplies, buy food, which they would later bring inside the concentration camp for the prisoners. And so he went like this every day, trips to the market to buy food and supplies. And under the watch of the Japanese captors, he not only brought in food or supplies, he smuggled notes and money and medicine into the camp. And he would use this to treat his prisoners of wounds. He cooked for them. He cooked soups, especially for those who were sick or who were dying. The money that he found and smuggled in, he would give them to his fellow prisoners so that they could buy whatever they needed to survive the situations in the camp, like extra food or extra clothes or other little things that they could just keep themselves barely alive in the concentration camps. He boosted their morale in this manner. He risked his life for 3 years. For 3 whole years, he would go in and out of that market, from the camp to the market and back, continually smuggling these medicines, and under the impression that the Japanese were watching him. It would mean death. It would mean torture if he was ever caught doing these things. But those 3 years, he wasn't caught. He kept doing, and he tirelessly served, selflessly served his fellow prisoners in this manner. On January 1, 1945, just before World War II ended, he and his fellow prisoners unfortunately were bombed, and he succumbed to these wounds of the bombing. And 3 years later, the U.S. Army recognized him for this meritorious service and awarded him the highest award that any civilian could get, which is the Medal of Freedom. And belatedly, 75 years after, the U.S. Army recognized that he was eligible for 4 more medals, one including the Purple Heart. And the year after that, just recently in 2018, he was awarded a headstone at the Arlington Cemetery in Washington, D.C. For those of you who don't know, the Arlington Cemetery is the cemetery only for heroes and for U.S. presidents and those of the sort. So he was awarded such prestigious awards, such prestigious medals. And because of his selfless service during the hellish situations, these hellish times during the wars. And this is something that I emulated. His entire life was punctuated by service, no matter how hard. He gave everything he could. He did the best he could to serve his nation, his fellow prisoners. And it's something I'm proud to say that he is my great-grandfather, and it is something that I admire and something that I feel like we should all try to imitate, reflect on, and try to do for our fellow citizens, for our fellow brothers and sisters, for anyone that we meet, every stranger that we meet. This lesson of service is something that I feel like we should all try to do as much as we can.